Hello, my friends. Welcome back. In today's video, we want to talk about combining the CSS selectors, right? In the previous video, we talked about how we can cascade the CSS selectors. And in today's video, we want to see how we can combine those selectors so that we can specifically target some elements, right? Select any elements in your website design. There are quite a few different ways that you can do this, and we can combine the CSS selectors. And we're going to talk about them all in here in today's video. Like there's four, if I'm not mistaken. At least this is like four that I know about. And so let's get started. To show you how we can do this, I just want to have like a sample website, like a very, very short website that we want to do together, right? So let's do something. I want to go H1 and say schedule, okay, and then I don't know, like let's have an H2 elements that says I don't know, let's say Monday, for example, and then we want to go have I don't know, let's say I get div with class, we're just gonna call one class, I don't know, like uh just call it box for now. We can change that later if you wanted to. And inside here, we want to have like a paragraph. And let's say our paragraph is like a class. Let's give it a class. I'm just going to go C1, for example. It's not very descriptive, I know, but it gets the job done. And I say classes that I should attend to. Okay. And just like any random text, like obviously it doesn't really matter what you put in here. We just want to have some different elements in different orders so we can like select them using like combining different selectors, right? And then let's have like a list. And I'm just going to call that class equals go L1 for list. And so let's close that. And then here we can have list items. And let's give them a class as well. Okay, so I'm just going to go class. And then let's give it a name. Okay, let's go. It matters because like that the reason I'm thinking about the classes, the name of the classes is that because it matters when I want to choose like talk about different approaches that you can combine the selectors, right? So let's do this. And then I want to go, I don't know, like let's say math. And let's have another one, Y. And this one doesn't have anything. I can just go physics. And let's have another one as well. Li class. Want to give this a name C1 as well. And then I want to go biology, for example. And that's the end of the UL. That's the end of the div. And then I want to have another UL in here, right? And inside it, I don't want a list element. I want a paragraph with a class C1, maybe. And I want to say other things to do you. And then after this, I want to have another one, like very basic paragraph that says, I don't know, I'll go to the library and study for the exam. Okay, cool. So we have like a very very simple website in here, right? And now I have like a CSS file. It's empty, as you can see here, and I'm linking it up here. And we've talked about how we can link things. They haven't really close this. We've talked about like how you can use the like a styled CSS file to, add CSS to your HTML. And like one of our first videos, if you forgot how to do that, this is how you do it. And if you want, you can always go back and check the video as well. Anyway, now let's talk about combining the CSS selectors and see how we can do this. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do, let's say that we want to select these two elements, schedule on Monday, and we want them to be like a different color. Let's say, I don't know, like purple color. Okay. So when we look at this, and let's talk about the first approach. Like I want to make some changes to this website, obviously, and I want to use different technique to combine the selector. The first selector that I want to talk about, it's called the group selector, right? So I want to call that the group selector. Comment it out because that's not a thing. And the syntax for the group selector is that you just go selector, comma, space, selector. Okay. And then like you do your things in here. Like for example, you go color is I don't know, purple. Okay. So in this case, we want to choose these two. Okay. What can we do about this? If we go back to our HTML file, we'll see that this is an H1 and this is an H2, and there is not a H1 or H2 in here, so we should be fine. So we can use the group selector. So instead of like this selector, I'm just gonna go H1, and for this one I go H2, and then you can see the color changes for these two. Okay, that's good. So this is the first approach that we can do. The second approach that we can use is to use the child method. So I'm just going to call that child method. And let's just comment it again. And the syntax for this is like selector, and then you want to have like an angle bracket, and then another selector, right? And then you can do like, we can do color again. Let's do, for example, red this time. So the way this works is that the first selector on the left side of the angle bracket, you have like this guy in here. This is called the parent selector. And then this on the right side, it's called the child selector. And the way it works is that it goes down one generation. So it has to be a direct child. It cannot be a great child or like a great grandchild or anything. It has to be like a direct child of it. So let's do this and change the color of this one, for example. So classes that they should attend to. Let's go back to our website and we can see that it's in here, right? We want to use the child selector combining method. And as we can see, like this, it's a P, right? The P element, a paragraph element, and it's a child of the development, right? So what we can do is to select like the development and then go in here and then select this one. So the box is the class for this one. And then, yeah, and then this C1 is the class for the other one. So basically all I can do is to go box, and then here I can go C1, right? If I do that, and it doesn't work because it's a dot box, because it's a and it's a dot C1 because these are class names. These are not like H1 and H2. Oops, the battery is low. Because these are not like H1 and H2 to element names. These are the class names. So if you remember, we had to like put a dot. If it was an ID, it would be like a sharp sign or something. So this is like one way of doing that. The other way of doing that would be I could go dot box, and if you go back in here, you'll see that there is only one P element inside this div. So I can use that as well. So I can just go P, right? And then do the same thing. Go color is red, right? So now if like these both work. So if I comment this out, you will see that it doesn't change because it does the same thing, right? Okay, let's make it back. So this is the second approach. We talked about the group selector. We talked about the child. Let's put the selector in here as well. And then the third approach that I want to talk about was the descendant, right? I'm just going to go descendant selector. And let's comment this out. Hopefully I haven't misspelled the word descendant. But anyway, the syntax for this is very similar to the previous one. So it's selector and no comma, no nothing, just a space and selector, right? And then you like do whatever you want to do here. For example, again, you're keeping it simple. So I'm just going to go color is, I don't know, like let's say, sure, yellow, green, green, yellow. So the way this works is that it's very similar to the child selector approach, but the difference is that it goes down to different levels, right? So it goes down to like multiple generations. As long as, like, let's say we go back in here, we have this as our parent, and this is a direct child. This UL, this unordered list is also a direct child, but these list items, they are not direct childs, right? They are not direct children. So we have to use the descendant selector approach if we want to address these specifically. Let's see how we can do that. So let's select. What we can do about this is that we can go here and say, okay, like change the color of these to like these elements in here to something else, right? To gray yellow. So what we can do is to go box, which was the class name, right? For our div element, right? And then this is the list item. So I can just basically go del I, and you will see that the color changes to these, which is like which is what we wanted. And so far so good. It should be clear what we're doing. We talked about the group selector, the child selector, and the descendant selector. And the last one that I want to talk about, it's the chaining selector. Okay, chaining selector. And the way this works is very interesting. So you go selector, no space, no comma, no nothing, just followed by selector. And then you can have like as many as you want, obviously, right? But the only thing that you need to keep in mind when you're doing this is that, as we talked about this, like you can have like class names as selectors, you can have IDs as selectors, you can have elements as selectors. But in case you're using elements in part of this chaining selector approach, the element's name must be the first thing that you put here. So let's say, for example, I want to do an H1, which has like a class of, I don't know, C2. It has to be this. You cannot go dot C2 and then H1, because then it would think that like the whole thing is the name of the class, which obviously is wrong. So this is the only thing that you need to keep in mind, that the element name, if there is an element name, it comes first. So let's use this technique and change the color of this guy to something else. So what I want to do is to go, well, actually, let's do these ones. Let's do these ones, and I want to go list item, right? Because these are part of the list item. So I want to go list item, and these are the only ones. But I want to say that the list item that have class C1, right? So this is what I want to do. I want to go here, list item dot C1, which means all the list items that have the class name C1, then color change to I don't know, from brown, and you'll see that the color has changed to brown for these two. And well, obviously, you can always combine these. So you can have like a group selector, and like the first one is a selector, the other one, let's say it's like a chain selector approach. You can combine these like in any way you want. It just gets more complicated. Well, not really, but anyway. Um, so yeah, this is about how we can combine different selectors and to specifically address some specific elements in our website. Hopefully, you learned something from this video, and if you enjoyed it, please like the video. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. It's a great help for me. It supports me. And thank you for watching this video again. And you guys have a good one. See you all next video. Bye.